da, da. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Heart Centered Tarot. As always, my name is Marina, and I will be your guide for this portion of the journey. Welcome to Sisters of the Mystical Tarot. Yay! So we have. I'm hosting today, but we are simulcasting to all channels. So I have next to me Val from Dragonfly Crystals and Next Level Channeling. And then next to her is Sherry, Voices from the Swamp. And then underneath is Allison from Aries Girl Tarot. And then we have Sharon from Strawberry Rhubarb Tarot. Yeah. And yeah, Allie is taking a much needed week off. So
yeah, she's been super busy.
Yeah, may she enjoy it and thoroughly have fun. But yeah, she will be missed. She will definitely be missed. We like her input.
Sorry, ladies. Boy, my allergies kick in. They decide to kick in.
I know. That's, you know what? Do not apologize. Yeah. If you if you have to mute, if you have to leave, whatever, absolutely understandable. So just going to say hello to some of the people that are in here with us. And thank you for sharing part of your afternoon. We've got Captain Morgan. We've got Pierrette. Hello. Janet C. There's somebody Dragonfly Crystals. I don't know who that is.
A bunch of them. She's a pain. She's always flying around buzzing people.
I know. We'll talk later.
It's okay. I have a tattoo on my back shoulder.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, Janet C. Fatima. Hello, Fatima. We have Amanda Carroll and Cosmic Orphan. Sherry, Voices from the Swamp. She's another one. Sal Rods. Hey, Sally. Who else do we have in here?
Coyote Rosenbaum.
Lori Huntsinger.
Linda De Gonzalez.
Ellen R. Who? Sorry?
Linda De Gonzalez.
Oh, Linda De Gonzalez. Yes, just see her now. Coyote Rosenbaum. Love that name. Excellent. Thank you guys for being here. And if I've missed anyone, I apologize. You know, we'll try to say hello as we can. And if you ladies see someone that pops into your stream before I see them on here, feel free to say hello. So yes, what are we going to talk about today? Well, this was something that kind of came to me over the last few days, that I've been spending a good deal of time reminiscing, especially reminiscing about childhood. And this wasn't something that I sought out. It just kind of happened. And, you know, different things, different people, different situations and whatnot. And then I was thinking, as I'm going to be having Trudy Shu on later on tonight as a guest.
Sweet.
Yes, she is. She's very, very sweet. And I thought, you know, all of us come from different places. All of us come from different cultural experiences that sometimes shape our spiritual journeys or the things that we believe or what we do. So it might be worthwhile to take a look at it and see if there is, do cultural differences impact our spiritual journey, and should they? So I was telling Val before we got started that I had a little bit of an aha moment that kind of came to me yesterday. And it was, in a lot of ways, to me, it was very, very telling. And that was when I was growing up, my formative years, of course, I was in Yugoslavia. And it was a communist country. So there was a lot of things that were controlled. There was a lot of things that, maybe you didn't have access to, or you had to know someone who could, take a payment to do things. And so, anyway, one of the things that I clearly remember was my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, because we all lived in the same house, which again was not something that was unusual. It's just what you did. Right? So the three of them would march down to the butcher's at 5 o'clock every morning, and they would stand in line until they got in. And the reason that they would go together was because you didn't have a choice once you got in the butcher shop. You didn't have a choice about what you would get. It was based on what was left, right? Depending on where you were in line. So you could be going home with chicken. You could be going home with, some stewing beef. You could be going home with, a couple pieces of pork. You never knew what it was. So the three of them would go together, and each one, if there was anything on the shelf, they would take one each, right? So that they could have three choices to try to make a couple meals out of, and so on. And the whole time, a lot of my adult years were spent whenever I got a little bit of extra money, unexpected. I was running to the grocery store and I was shopping a blue streak, and, to make sure that the cupboards were full and whatnot. And if I'm buying fruit and vegetables and whatnot, and we don't consume it, I end up throwing it out. But I had this need to just make sure that the cupboards were full. And it went from that into my eating. The same thing, that I never left the plate without it being clean. So there was a lot of things. And what triggered it the other day was I thought, oh shit. Yeah, no wonder I did that. That was, it was a matter of survival for the first, 8-9 years of my life. That whatever you had, that's what you had. There was no picky eaters ever, because your choice was eat or don't eat. That was it. So I do think that part of that has influenced my spiritual journey in terms of spending time in looking at things from a lack of perspective. And to be able to get to the point to say, okay, there is no lack, right? That was then, this is now. There is no lack. There is abundance. It's there if I choose to access it.
Right.
So that's kind of where that came from. Val?
That's a big impact as you're growing up. That sticks with you and helps form you, right? Because it informs your reality, right?
Yes.
So yeah, for me, when I looked at this, the first thing that came to me is not how I was impacted, because I've had spiritual upbringing and really didn't have any of those things happen to me, but I have a very eclectic connection with all spiritual deities, gods and goddesses, whatever, be it Buddhist religion or Tibetan or Hinduism or, even Catholicism, to the fact that if you want to name, I really don't associate Mary and Mary Magdalene and Jesus, who is also Yeshua. I don't associate them with a religion, with Catholic religion. That was adopted after, that was constructed after. So in that way, my, Greek goddesses, Egyptian Isis, I mean, I'm just all over the place. I'm in India with Subramanya, Ganesh, Parvati, Shiva Shakti. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So in that eclectic realm that is my world, anything that I resonated with became my go-to.
Yeah.
Which was just about everyone. Really, no one got singled out, and not utilized in some way as my the archangels and angels.
Yes.
The celestial, the galactics.
Yeah.
You name it. Mother Earth, the planets, whatever, the elemental kingdom. I am just like into the 20 million things, and it all works for me because I relate to all of it. So that's kind
and lucky for you that you were introduced to that, right? That was accepted.
Well,
and encouraged.
It wasn't even a question of my mother's, or it wasn't even a subject in my mother's world. She didn't talk about gods or goddesses. She didn't talk about, I am my own version, because she only went so far as like practicing pranayama or yoga positions, or at one point she belonged to Self-Realization Fellowship. At one point she belonged to mental physics, which is all about the breath. There were all these different things that she was opening up to way before I came along even. So I just got the remnants of that and meditation. So plus some of her spiritual books and whatnot, but she would always approach everything as what are you learning from this? And, when you tell her about an experience. So for that, I am truly grateful. But my eclectic world of everything is my own version.
And that's fine.
Yeah, it works for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about you, Sherry?
Well, very eclectic, you could say. When I was real little, we lived with my grandparents, my mother's mom and her husband, her second husband, who I called Daddy up until my mother married my brother's dad. And then I was informed, oh, that's your granddaddy. This is going to be your daddy. Okay, 5 years old. What do I know? But I mean, we never went to, the only time we went to church was either on holidays, and then depending on whether if it was a Catholic church or a Baptist church, depended on which family relative we visited for that holiday. And then that's the church we would go to. My mother was a very she wasn't anti-spiritualism, but she was very anti religion, so to speak. She was like, you believe what you believe, and that's your prerogative, and nobody can tell you any different. Just like she didn't want somebody preaching at her, she wasn't going to preach at anybody else. And so growing up, my brother and I were left to, you go experiment, go to different places, see what you think, see what you like. So I kind of grew up with a foot in 3 or 4 different worlds, from Protestant Christianity to Catholic Christianity to in high school, one of my best friends was Jewish. I used to go to temple with her on Friday night, and then out of the 3 of us, we'd all go to temple on Friday. Sunday, we all went to mass together. I figured, okay, I'm getting both sides of the Bible, both ends of the book. I'm doing good. And so, we were left to make that decision for ourselves. And then over the years, you experiment here and there and everywhere. But again, we never really went to church or anything until my son was in elementary school. And he went to church one Sunday with a neighbor kid and came home and informed us that we should all go to church together as a family. And so his daddy was like, I refuse to go to a Catholic church. He was born and bred Catholic. He was like, no, not happening. So we wound up going to a little Baptist church down the street, whereupon I was in that cult for many years before I got myself out of it. And that's how I think of the Mass, as being a cult, because
It is.
that's the kind of mindset that they have. It's very
Controlling and
very
confining.
rigid, very, very controlling, very much, this is the path you walk and you can't deviate. And, for the first few years, it was real easy to follow right along. Then it was like, you know what? This is not comfortable and it's not me. And it took a while before I finally was like, ain't none of this for me. I'm out of here.
Sorry,
I
Sherry,
walked away
which
from all of it.
religion are you talking about? I missed that.
At the time, it was Southern Baptist.
Oh, okay. All right.
The huge.
Isn't that funny?
SBA cult.
Baptist popped into my head, so should have
Yeah.
trusted that.
I mean, and I don't have a problem going to church if I'm with someone that wants to go. It's like, okay, no problem. I just don't ascribe to it anymore. And then after my husband died and I moved away, and decided to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do with myself, I had my own kind of spirituality start to develop. And that's when the doors started to open and things started to come back to me that were there when I was a kid that I had shut off for so long. And so it's been a long, slow road as I took it a little bit at a time, until I finally got to the point where I am where I am now, and I'm still growing and I'm still learning. But Marina, you talk about having to fill your cupboards, which reminded me when I was real little, when we lived with my grandparents, there was always food in the house. It was never an issue. After my mother married my brother's dad, and then they got divorced, and we moved several states away because she needed to figure out who she was with 2 kids in tow. There were a lot of times when we went to bed hungry. There wasn't anything, if it wasn't for the babysitter that watched us after school, who fed us dinner before she got home, there were a lot of times we wouldn't have had anything to eat, and the woman knew that, and she made sure that we had at least one hot meal a day. And so because of that, I always have had this, like, I'll have 5 of the same item in my pantry, and you let me open one and I got to go to the store and get another one and replace it, even though there's still 4 more in there.
That's still lack.
It's very OCD, very, I'm not as bad as I used to be. I've slowly gotten myself away from it, but I'm still like, I can't just have one of something. I have to have several of something, so that if something happens to the one I have, I've got a backup. And that can
Don't come over to my house.
Or bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's come in handy whenever there's been food drives or something happens locally. I've got something in the pantry I can run and go donate right away. And that makes me feel good. I had it there, and I was able to give it. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of, I think because my mother didn't force a religion down our throats, she let us kind of figure it out on our own, what path we wanted to walk. It wound up leading to a more, I guess I would have to say, a more
open-minded.
Yeah, a more open-minded and a more fulfilling feeling, that because
Absolutely.
it's something I've discovered. I've not had someone tell me I have to think this way or pray that way, or And
Absolutely. And how about you, Allison?
So,
What am I chopped liver?
Marina,
No, you'll get there.
you get to round it all up, Sharon.
No, I'm sorry, Allison. I had to take the jab.
so Marina, the question so it's how do cultural differences affect our spiritual journeys? So, I was thinking more in terms of like my family and where they originated from and the impact that had.
Yes.
That's how I interpreted the question. So is it okay if I just answer it that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a different answer too.
That's what I thought so, okay. So my mom's family had a far bigger impact on me than my father's, only because they divorced when I was like 6. And so I did see my dad every single weekend, and I was actually very close to his mother. My mom just had more of an impact on me because I lived with my mom, right?
Yeah.
So, but I will jump into both briefly. So, cultural. So my mother's parents both came over from Spain, as children. And they were both poor. And then they went through the Depression, right?
Wow.
Because my mother was born in 1944. So that gives you an idea of how old my grandparents were. So anyhow, there was definitely a lack mentality and all that. But as far as like cultural and affecting my spirituality and all of that, apparently, and I didn't even find this out till recently, but I knew it, but I didn't get proof of it. They were all baptized and all that over in Spain, so they were Catholic, which there was zero religion in our family, like nil, nothing. Never went to church, never did anything. There was never any talk of God, zero. And they were good people and this, that, whatever. There was no talk of God, anything. Then on my dad's side of the family, almost the same. And they were all very French Canadian. But there was no talk of religion and all of that sort of thing. But somehow there was a few people in there that were Baptist, and that completely, like, there was like no looking at that. Like they would be part of like the family reunions and that kind of stuff. But like my dad's, to get this right, my dad's sister was Baptist, but she tried, or what, they didn't really talk about it because everybody in our family honestly thought they were nuts. I'm just being honest. Like it was very known that Aunt Virginia and Uncle Leonard are cuckoo.
She went off the deep end.
Yeah, like it was like, like watch out for that, and seriously, that's how it was. And so there really wasn't any. And so I was very open to spirituality. And when it showed up and started making appearances, I wasn't clouded with anything, nothing. And then, but I had some friends growing up that were Christian. In fact, my best friend down the street, she went to, it was called Springfield Christian Academy. That's the school that she went to. And they were very Christian. They were good people though. Her dad was an alcoholic. But they, for the most part, very, just good people. Right. And I remember going to church with her a few times and just sitting there with my mouth open at what I was hearing, the stuff, and just knowing in my gut, and I'm not here to bash anybody, but seriously, as a child, and I remember this, sitting there thinking, going, do you guys believe this stuff?
Yeah, right.
What? Yeah. And they're talking about how God and my neighbor, actually my neighbor, they were Catholic, and I went to a couple services with them because if you spent the night on a Saturday night, you were going to church in the morning. If I spent the night with Maria and they were Catholic, or if I spent the night with Cassandra and they were Christian, we were going to church. It was just fine. I got to wear one of my dresses, and I was like, hey, cool. I was a tomboy, but I had stuff, and I didn't mind dressing up once in a while. It was kind of fun. The Catholic church was beautiful, which is why I liked going there, because it was just pretty. All the candles and, you got to drink the juice and have like a cracker. And I thought it was really cool and stuff. Because I was little and I didn't understand it, but I could hear what they were talking about. And they made God sound really scary. And as a little kid, I remember sitting there thinking in my head, this can't be right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then also thinking, but there's this book and it's really big and there's all this information and they all believe it. I mean, I really remember like processing and breaking this down and thinking, but somehow it can't be. Like I see the proof, but I'm not buying it. And it's so funny to reflect. And anyhow, that's what I have to share. I'm just going to stop there. So
I like that.
There was no impact. I was able to do what I
I'm
wanted.
like you.
I wasn't clouded with anything but those few experiences. And the red flags were all over the place.
Yeah.
As a little
Good
kid.
for you for using your own
that's fine.
discernment in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and by the way, my grandma, my mom's mom, was very much, we don't have enough mentality. And when they died, they had, I'll just say, a lot of money in the bank. A lot.
Yeah.
And my mom and her two siblings got it all. And they got a massive inheritance after my grandparents died because they just lived that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just stocked and stocked and stocked and stocked. And the fruit you're talking about, Marina, well, my grandma would just can it.
Yeah, that was my grandmother.
Nothing went to waste ever. And she baked every Tuesday. She did laundry on Wednesday. She changed the sheets on Thursday. I got it kind of goofed up the order, but that's how everything was. Safety precautions everywhere. Right.
Yeah.
But it was a fun place to spend the night. And I have a lot of great memories of being at my grandparents.
That's great.
But that's mine. That's what I got.
Perfect. Wonderful, Allison. Okay. So I think we'll go to Val for another. I wanted to see the look on Sharon's face. All righty, my dear. Sharon, it's your turn.
Come back, Sharon. Come back.
That's okay. Move along.
She says,
I feel like the fifth wheel here.
Bug me like that.
listen, I just read your mind, and you called me something starts with a B and ends with a
No, I didn't. No, I did not.
So we can only get away with that.
Might have been my evil twin, though.
Oh,
It
well,
wasn't me. Okay, I have very similar stories to you. Grew up in an Irish Catholic family, that type of thing. My mother didn't believe in it. She drifted away from that. We had to take catechism till we're, 15 or 16. Then she said, "You're on your own. You decide what you want to do." But she was very spiritual and very much upbringing like Val had. Also food, well, of course, my mom lived through the Depression as a kid, her parents, that sort of thing. So food was very important. My mom was left with 4 children to raise on her own because my dad was an alcoholic, and family intervention took us out of the home. And, from the time I was 6 and I had younger siblings. So anyways, mom really cooked around what was on sale. She could stretch a buck. She was amazing, not only with food, but with everything on a secretary's wage, which wasn't much. Let me tell you about that.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to leave that and say within my nuclear family, I've had many cultural influences on my spirituality. For one reason, I married a fellow from Hong Kong, so Chinese. And I learned, so one of the Chinese things was you did live with your parents, that kind of thing. And I can remember my husband wouldn't budge out of the family home. They had lots of room. We had the whole upper floor, but I'm going, well, flying rockets. I want to be on her own, but I had to, that's the way it was. And so we lived there for a long time until finally we did move. And I was so happy. Not that they were lovely folks. The other thing I learned from my father-in-law was he had a very Buddhist point of view. And which my husband adopted as well. And he was saying, the more material things you have, the more you have to look after. Like it becomes a anchor around your neck, that kind of thing. And that happiness wasn't having lots of things. And so that really permeated, our marriage and that kind of thing. And I live that way to this day. although I do might buy more things than my ex-husband ever did. I mean, since we split. The other influence, for example, is my daughter married someone, a Muslim. He came from Pakistan to Canada when he was 6 years old. So I learned things through that had an impact. However, one of the things that was a negative was we didn't know till things hit a crisis point that he was not treating our daughter very well. So it's more like from that culture, the females aren't treated as well, and the male is king, that kind of thing. And even though he was modern and he was in the military and, you know, he was bright, he was an engineer, he still had this thing. In fact, at one point, you know, her mother-in-law said to her, because he was having mental issues, outbursts, and treating her very terribly. And her mother-in-law, the way she handled it was, "What did you do to upset him?" I beg your pardon. Anyways, and then I was married to a woman, to Sue. She came from a Danish, German background, so I learned certain things from them, and so it's been a really eclectic. And also I had a best friend who was Chinese when I was growing up, and I saw how they lived and how family is very important, right? The parents give everything to their family, and which my husband really does. I'm worried about him for his retirement because he just keeps giving money away to my daughters, and they're pleading him, saying, "Don't do this, Dad." And he says, "I'll be fine."
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, just my upbringing. We went to the Unity Church at one point, which is non-denominational church. So I've had quite an eclectic background as far as my spiritual beliefs, and I've had quite cultural influences because, you know, of people that in my family, the culture that we married into. So it's been a very interesting life.
That's awesome. I really, really like that. I like the idea of exposure to a lot of different things, right? Because there's some cultures that are very very open about their spiritual beliefs and very welcoming. And if you ask questions, they will answer, they will share information. Others are more secretive, you know, that you know, the idea of, you know, where you worship is tantamount to saying, "So how much money do you make a year?" Right? It's just, no, you don't discuss that. You don't ask. And
you know, in my mother's time, you never asked a woman how old she was. You never asked how much something cost, and you never asked how much a person made. And, you know, and that was, I still am like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Most people don't talk about income still.
No, but there's a lot that do.
Unless they're the treasurer at church, and then they want to know how much everyone makes to make sure you're giving your 10%.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
yeah.
I just had a thought. When I went out on my own as a young adult, I had friends who were doing the same thing, and they were going into huge debt buying furniture and stuff for their apartments or their houses. And you know, and what they're doing is comparing to their parents, what they have. And I thought in my mind, wait a minute, this has been over 30, 40 years of accumulating things. I started out with a fold out sofa, you know, made into a bed, a used table and 2 chairs for the kitchen. I got, you know, some little few dishes and cutlery from a.
And you probably loved it.
I did. I did. And I did have I had a little TV that I brought with me, and I had it sitting on a milk crate. I was happy as, and I had I was happy as a
And you're
clown.
spiritually evolved. That's why.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The
So
only time we
all
had a
this-
TV when I was growing up is if somebody gave my mom one because they would find out we
exactly.
didn't have
Yeah.
a TV.
Yeah.
And then
I
we would
can
have
remember.
it until it broke, and then we wouldn't have one anymore until somebody.
And that went into our marriage
Yeah.
as well. We got things as we could. It was never, so I took that with me into my adult life.
I think the biggest epiphany I ever had as far as spirituality was in 77 when the very first Star Wars movie came out.
Oh, yes.
I was 16 and I went to the theater and I watched it. And when Obi-Wan Kenobi starts describing what the Force is to Luke, I remember
Yes.
sitting in that theater going, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. It was like somebody finally put it into words in a way that it registered with me. And so even to this day, if somebody asks me what religion are you, I just tell them I believe in the Force.
Exactly.
And then they back away. They don't know what to say.
Yeah, and I knew about the
That's a great
Force
answer.
well before Star Wars. So it really spoke to me when I saw
Well,
Star
yeah, it was
Wars.
all Jewish. The most of what was in that movie was Jewish tenets because Spielberg was Jewish. I mean,
Who
and
was
George
Jewish?
Lucas was
Hollywood
Yeah.
is high percentage of Jewish.
yeah.
I mean, they're very creative people, very
Mr.
driven
Spock
people.
from Star Trek. I mean, the original TV series,
Oh,
Live Long
me
and
too.
Prosper. He saw the rabbis doing this motion when they read from the Torah. He didn't know what it meant. He was a kid.
Oh.
You weren't supposed to watch when they did certain things. And he would turn his head and look, he said, and he saw that. And when they did Star Trek and they were trying to come up with a greeting of one Vulcan to another Vulcan and how it would be different, boom, this popped up out of them. And it was like, everybody thought, well, that's brilliant.
Okay. I can't do that. So who can do it and who can't? I can do it if I stick
do
it.
this.
I can't even do that.
Yeah.
I can do this and then I can do that.
I can't do it.
And then
How
I can go
about
back.
this? Can anybody do this?
No.
Not that far.
No.
My weird little hands.
Yeah.
Can anybody do this?
Amazing.
With the Vulcan salute. Yep, I got that one down.
I can't do. Never have many. Oh, I almost had it. I guess I have to practice.
Perfect. All righty. Well, listen, we are at 37 minutes, and we do have some questions. So maybe we can get into them. Here we go. So Sal Rods is wondering what's coming in for her in September. So let's figure out what that is.
I forgot to pull out cards.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly.
I just got 2 new card decks from I'm in the Hay House, the Hay House deck card club, whatever they call it.
Yes.
And I just got 2 new decks. I haven't even opened them yet because I'm waiting for the full moon next week to cleanse them and charge them.
So I'm getting, Sally, for you to replenish. So this is about you, deep replenishment, retreat, rest, and give yourself a little break from stresses, whatever's going on. Just get in a tranquil space, shift gears, let yourself chill out, and don't let anything bother you. So a little bit of self-nurturing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Who wants to go next? Sherry?
Yeah, I can go. I pulled from the Healing Waters Oracle. It says the pink dolphin. And it says on here, celebration, fun, unbridled joy, open heart. And it just shows a woman that's dancing like in pure joy with dolphins joining her in the picture. And to me, this just speaks volumes to me of just opening your heart and letting your joy out.
Oh,
The more, oh, your dog is very ill.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even in the illness, it's to celebrate the joy that dog brings you, the joy that she receives from you. I mean, that can be very powerful as far as what can be done energetically. I mean, the more joy you feel, the more the energy is going to go out.
Yeah. Sharon? And we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do the loop. We'll do the loop that way. Yeah.
I agree with Val along temperance. So temperance in I'm feeling in your emotions, in your health, and finances. Like it's a time of regaining your balance. And I'm sure keeping your emotional balance around your dog being ill and that kind of thing. I heard just today, I was walking into the coffee shop and this woman says, a woman about my age, and she was saying it to a man about our age. And she's, yeah, we all have an expiry date. It's just the way it is. So I'm sorry your dog is ill. As our pets are just so precious.
Absolutely. Allison?
Yeah, Sal Rods, we only pull one card. So, sometimes I get something off of it. Sometimes I don't, because we're just pulling a card, which is all fine. I got the 4 of Cups. And actually what I was going to say to you is the same thing pretty much. But then I saw, once I heard about your dog. So, but this is the 4 of Cups. And this is about, actually, it can be a lot of different things, but assuming that it's related to what's on your heart right now, this is about reflecting, remembering. I don't know if, this is, I don't know anything about your dog. I don't know if this is final, if this is, if it's just, a blip. If it's
just turned 16, so that's
okay.
old.
Thank you. I didn't get the age before, so that is helpful. But this is about just reflecting. It's a time of contemplation. There is an air of sadness to this, absolutely, with the 4 of Cups. It can also be just kind of indifferent or bored, right? Depending on where the reading is. That's not where this is. Yeah. So this is about you just, reflecting and probably not seeing what's around you that's good right now. The divine is handing a cup and the person, doesn't see it, right? It just sees the 3 in front, or there's 4 cups, right?
Yeah.
So they have what they have, but they're not seeing what's being handed to them, is the traditional imagery. So anyhow, yes, it's sad. We've all been through it. I'm not making light of it. I'm a huge animal person, and I'm very empathic, and I love animals more than I love people, truth be told. And it's just because they're joy and innocence, and they live from their heart, and they're not malicious. Even dogs and cats that do things nasty, it's because of what they've been through. It's not their heart, it's not their truth. So, and humans can be blamed for it. So anyways, I'm sorry for what you're going through. And I'll state the obvious, this time will pass, and, you'll get through it, but not making light of it. So, and hopefully you're hopefully it all, whatever the transition is, that it's it's healing and smooth. So that's mine.
Absolutely.
I just drew another card, and clearly it's the Fool. And there's the dog. Clearly it's a transition, right? He's off on a new journey.
Yeah. Very good. And I got, to close it off, I got Mania. And this is from the Mystic Sisters deck. and mania is about anxiety, nervousness, imaginings. So yeah, absolutely. I definitely see your emotion and your anxiety in this card. Yeah, and she says, yeah, I didn't know this was where today was heading when I asked the question.
Wow.
No, I'm sure you didn't. So you know what? If you just be grateful for the time that you have had her, and know that this is it doesn't help, but this is the natural order of things. And you know, her spirit, whether or not it's here in the physical form or somewhere else, is going to remain with you forever. There is no question about that. So yeah, I think I agree with what the other ladies have said, is just take a moment to pause, right? To let it all sink in, process what's going on. So, and I too am very, very sorry for that, but understand what you're going through, believe me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All righty. So, oh, let me see if I can't.
I sobbed for 2 days, like huge tears, when my cat passed on, and she was only 6, and she had such a horrible death. I just sobbed. My daughters kept checking in on me because they knew I was so
Yeah.
upset.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
my cat for 16 years and he died. It was hard. I mean,
Very
that was
hard.
weeks of me mourning it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had, yeah.
Absolutely.
I had weeks of mourning as well, but those 2 days, I just was constant sobbing, and I thought, oh my god.
Totally.
Which
Well, that
question
cat
are we
got-
answering for her?
Sorry.
Oh,
So-
sorry, Marina. What question are we going to answer for Strawberry 61?
Okay, how does my month of September look? You know what? Let's look at September.
Okay.
And Strawberry, if you want more information about 2024, maybe, yeah, you can ask that for next week. But yeah, we'll look at the month of September.
You contact one of us for a full reading.
There
for
you
the
go.
year.
So
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Strawberry 61, for you, I'm getting, don't dim to fit in. So this is saying, how are you dimming your light in order to fit in? Just be yourself, be your radiant self, and know that you're perfect just as you are, however you show up. And you don't have to try to fit in anywhere. You will just resonate with everyone around you, and they'll be attracted to you just the way you are. And the perfect people will be around you from that.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Okay. Sherry?
I hear for you. I'm unmuted. Okay. The full moon, surrender to the divine. And I decided to look just to see what the author had in
Sherry,
mind with
hold on.
this.
Sherry, hon, just hold on for a sec. There's background noise. Is there?
It's my guys talking. Hang on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry, they forgot that I was doing this. They were in the
Okay,
kitchen
all right.
yakking.
Yeah.
Anyway, surrender to the divine. And what it talks about is now is the time to tune into your emotions, what you're feeling, how you're feeling, why you're feeling. But go into the divine space of just your emotional self and what and how you're doing with that.
Yeah.
And that's
Sharon?
what I got.
Sorry, hit the wrong button. I've got the Three of Pentacles, and I feel like this will be it will be a year of rebuilding, but building with a strong foundation. It could be to do with your finances, or your spiritual belief, or just maybe you want to strip away baggage and you want to start again, but you're going to do it with a solid foundation. So that's what I get for this. And also people around you helping you do that.
Perfect. Wonderful. And Allison?
I got the Four of Cups again.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. And I was getting ready to pull her an African Goddess Rising, but it got to me too quick. That's fine. There's something here that, and I'm getting totally different energy off of this. I don't know what this is. You may not. Maybe you'll know later, but there's something here that you're over this, whatever this is, but you're still in it.
Yeah.
There is an option that you're either not looking at or you don't like it or whatever it is. And I'm not saying you should do it, but there's something here that you're just sitting on that you're not.
Yeah.
And Spirit's saying, move it along.
Yep.
So that's what I got.
Yeah, that goes with what I pulled. She's going to be moving some things along. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got the magical key. And
With the magical what? The
magical key.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And this is about hope, faith, gifts, and so on. So to kind of resonate with what the ladies were saying, it's time to find a new path. This one has been, you have worn it down.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping isn't going to change anything, right? So maybe have a little more belief in yourself. Take that step with a lot of faith and just, enjoy your gifts somewhere else. Yeah.
I got Judgment at the bottom of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So there's a choice to be made, or you just take action on something and you need to decide solid. I think you're contemplating whatever this is. Maybe I'm going to stop, but this card just keeps talking. So anyway.
Yeah, I also pulled the Knight of Wands. That's the one where he's pulling the horse back. And I felt that's her. She needs to take action, but she's holding back.
Yeah. Absolutely. I hope, Strawberry, I hope that resonates with you.
I like your name, by the way, Strawberry.
Yes. All righty.
Ooh, that's pretty broad.
Do I have a successful future?
Could we say maybe 2024?
Yeah.
Does 2024 look like? Because that's just too.
Yeah. The big thing is we all have free will. So anything can change on a moment's notice at any time. And somebody else's decision could affect you as well. So successful future, for the next month, the next year, lifetime. Yeah, that's kind of a big one. So let's go. And Carolyn says yes. Yeah. You, Carolyn, do you want to maybe kind of narrow it down, for a specific thing, or just next year? Yeah.
Well, regardless, I did ask if she would be successful and have a really good future. And at the end, I'm not going to show you the first three cards I pulled, but it's a journey. And really, it looks like there's a little bit in the beginning of some kind of infighting going on, but you become successful. It's in your cards and you will expand.
Yeah. And she
So
says, yeah, just general. So, okay.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay, I drew for you great big love. And this talks about love without conditions, romantic love, or how that kind of love can, that kind of experience can change you. Deep and profound, harmonious love.
Yeah.
Basically, what Spirit is saying with this is invite the great big love, the love that just fills you up. It doesn't necessarily have to be for a person or a thing or a place, or just the love that you can feel flowing through you. And as a result of that, it will give you the strength you need to get through whatever's coming to you in the future. And because love is the way, it's the only way. Through love is how we conquer everything.
Yep.
It's stronger than all.
Yep. Sharon? Or you're muted.
Got it. I drew the Emperor, but I was a little confused by it. So I thought I drew another card and then I knew what it was. Okay. I think there's been someone that's been very rigid. I think really, it's my way or the highway, that kind of stuff. And you want to break free from that. And Spirit is encouraging you to do that, to create your own stuff, be your own emperor or empress. And so I clarified it. And yeah, you've been going through some choppy waters, but you are moving yourself. You've been moving yourself out of it in 2024. You'll be on your own journey, not somebody else's journey that they're trying to preordain for you. So it's your journey.
Allison?
So, as per usual, here I am with my reading.
That's all right.
So that's why it's good that we all
I
give.
had Medusa for you, Carolyn. This is about you can be angry, you can be hurt, you can be enraged, you can be all these things and you're not expressing it.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you're hurt.
Mm.
In some form or fashion. Hopefully you know exactly what this is. If you have no clue, I would sit with it. Every single time I pull a card from this deck, I love this deck. There's the message is there.
Yeah.
I can read all of this, but really that's what Medusa is.
The Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be, it could be like what Sharon was saying. It could be something like that. It could be something completely different. This could be something you've been carrying around a long time. Actually, I'm going to read just this one paragraph. And this is intense. If this isn't your story, it's not your story. But I'm being drawn to this one section. It says, you are pissed off and petrified, angry and shaking. But underneath that, you are hurt and heartbroken. Feeling undervalued is overwhelming. You can't stay silent anymore. Let your joys, hopes, and beauty rage on. There's a lot more there. But I'm just going to tell you the declaration or the mantra, especially if this makes sense to you at all, whether you know it now or you think about it later. Again, this could be something old that you don't even really think about, but until you weed it out, it's there. That goes for anybody that needs to hear this. The mantra is, I have a right to feel my feelings. So, it's about healing and loving yourself and letting go of something that you've been harboring. And maybe you're just, I'll stop. You know what this means, or I'm sure all of us do. But Medusa, that's the message. Good luck to you.
Yeah. And I will echo that. I pulled Hecate, and she is all about crossroads and turning points. So, I think, that kind of goes along with what was said, is you are at that crossroads. Have faith in the fact that you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to feel what it is that you're feeling. So don't let someone else interpret your feelings. You know what they are.
And say your
So,
truth.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All righty. Well,
Allison, I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject that Martha Bean wants to know what Allison's deck is, the
Yes.
African goddess. Is
Oh,
it?
I
yeah.
always say, but you might have missed it.
I
It's
know.
by Abiel. Thank you, Val, honey.
Mhm.
Abiola Abrams. It's the African Goddess Rising Oracle deck. Recently,
Because-
the house had it for $20. I don't know if that's still ongoing. I am as careful with my money as it gets. I would have paid $30 for this deck.
Yeah.
Or more. I love it. I love. And
Yeah.
decks are very personal. Just because I
Yeah.
love it doesn't mean everybody would. But this deck is just, it's been amazing. Other than the tarot, this has been the most powerful thing I've ever thrown.
On
For
your
me.
Allison, on your recommendation, I got that deck. I love it, and I
Yeah,
got
I
it.
love it.
I got it for the
Also-
$20 American. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, anybody that does get it, there's what's the word, incantation or whatever in the beginning. Do it.
Mhm.
Do it.
Oh,
I
okay.
usually just get a deck and start using it. Do the whole thing that's described in here. And I slept with it as well under my pillow. And I totally, I have a bunch of, I don't know, I've got some background with some of this anyways that I didn't even realize. Anyhow,
Oh.
thanks for asking.
Cosmic Orphan. Yeah, $10 now on Hay House has a picture.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
wow.
10?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
insane.
wow.
I
That's
think
even
I might
better.
have to go. Why?
Yeah,
I think so.
And the cards are beautiful. And I don't like, I shouldn't say I don't like, I have a hard time with Oracle decks. These cards are so big for me. They're wide and I can't shuffle it. I make it work. That's how much I like it. And they're all thick. I don't like real thick cards. They're thick and they're wide, but I do it anyway. So
Yeah. Well, that's
the imagery is beautiful. These women are so gorgeous. It's beautiful. I love it.
They really are.
wonderful. Perfect. All righty. Well, ladies, she says, I have the most wonderful husband in the world, but a friend committed suicide.
Gosh.
And you probably have a
okay.
lot of rage and anger about that. I went
Yeah.
through that myself and I was furious. Yeah. Yes. And I'm so sorry, honey.
Totally.
That's horrible. I've
That
been there.
explains a
Yeah.
lot.
Horrible. Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes sense. That
Yep.
makes sense.
Mhm.
And it's an
Mhm.
anger that'll come up for me up and down and up
Mhm.
and down. And yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So does if anybody is if you haven't subscribed to any of the other ladies' channels, please do so. If you go down in the description, you'll see all their channels are listed there, so you can go over, click on the channel, give it a like, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. It helps. And everybody does personal readings. So if you're interested in booking a personal reading, reach out, email, whatever. And we'll be more than glad to send you information and so on. And in the meantime, ladies, thank you. This was really nice for me. I like hearing
Mhm.
different cultural things, and and if nothing else, it shows just how many things we all have in common, coming from different places, and some things we all have in common, and that just makes the world a little smaller every day.
And I just want to say that it's so opened my world spiritually to be part of this community. Until COVID, I didn't, or before COVID, just before, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it's just been so valuable. I'm so blessed
Yes, I echo that as well.
to be with my tribe.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you everyone for being here. Don't forget to do all the YouTube things that you need to do, and
Like, subscribe, and share.
subscribe and share and like, and we'll see you next week. And Allison is going to be our hostess next week. So take care. See you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.